How's it going, ParaTruthers? Welcome to another episode of ParaTruth Reborn. This is a pre-recorded show on 107.7 FM New Orleans, 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast, and United Public Radio Network. My name is Justin. I'm running solo today. Erik is on vacation, so I hope he gets rested and is ready for the next episode. Today, though, I am proud to bring on two great guys in the paranormal community, Richard Palmisano and Peter Rowe, and we're going to be talking to them about the book, The Complete Paranormal Investigation Handbook. Peter is the assistant director of the Searcher Group and head of Mortal Coil Paranormal, a researcher, author, and advocate for heritage preservation, wide appearances on the Travel Channel's Fear of the Woods. Richard is the founder of the Searcher Group and the Canadian Institute of Parapsychology, and is a pioneer investigator whose work has been featured in national documentaries and significant publication. Peter and Richard, welcome to ParaTruth Reborn.
Thank you, Justin.
Here.
So, what got you guys started in the paranormal, and what made you want to write a book about doing paranormal investigation?
Should we start with the founder?
Well, I was born in a haunted house, so born and raised in a haunted house. Piqued my interest and started chasing it. And then when I became 18 years old, I started the Searcher Group, and that was back in 1979. So 46 years, I guess. Peter?
Yeah.
You get into this mess.
Part of me. I got us into this, did I? Okay. Playing the blame game already. All right, love it. Okay. I did not grow up in a haunted house. Part of me wishes I had, but I had a fascination with this subject from a very young age. Read every book I could get my hands on from our local library, and scared the hell out of me then. But in later years, many decades later, when it started to appear on television, investigations on television through Most Haunted out of the UK in early 2000s, I thought, wow, people are actually doing this in real life. And so I started to look for a team that took the subject seriously and wasn't into this for a thrill, but I wanted to take it seriously and face a childhood fear at the same time. And I discovered Richard and the Searcher Group through one of Richard's books. His second book, Journeys into the Unknown, featured some theory that he put at the end of the chapters. And I thought, here's a guy who was thinking out of the box and thinking of new ways of tackling this issue. So I looked him up, and we connected after that. And that was about 2008-ish, I think.
Okay. And then what made you guys want to actually write the book about it all?
That came out of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were itching to get out there and do some investigative work, and with the pandemic going on, and it was just fear and paranoia, and nobody would open their doors to anybody, and so we concluded, well, we have to do a book, but what are we going to do? And then we determined, we've been doing this for so long, and we have all these secret ideas and theory, and decided, hey, why don't we do a book like this? So and it happened.
Yeah. That was definitely part of the reason. And for me, and probably for us, we were sort of frustrated at not finding work as well, and we were a little upset with the prevalence of paranormal TV, how it's sort of saturated the markets, all these shows and whatnot, turning the lights out kind of thing, investigating in the dark, and all the thrill-seeking type things that they do on television. And it was also born out of frustration as far as getting work here in Ontario. Anyway, it's very difficult to approach historic owners and managers, properties like that, without being lumped in with the thrill-seeking groups that have cropped up because of television. So between us, we thought, well, yes, we should write a book, and we've got some material to share, as Richard said, our techniques. But this might be our proactive way of getting everybody on the same page by sharing how we have success doing this stuff. And hopefully the teams that are out there already, we can't change the number of teams that are out there, but hopefully some of them will pick up the book and get inspired by the content. And hopefully we can all raise the bar of true investigation together and communicate and compare notes and move forward.
Well, I really appreciate that you guys came out with this, because Erik, my co-host, and I have been talking about doing it for years, because I mean, there's obviously plenty of books out there about doing paranormal investigations and things like that. But it's one of those things that we wished we would have had somebody to teach us how to do the right things right off the bat. Because like you said, we basically learned off of the ghost hunting shows, like doing investigations at night and all this stuff. And one of the first things we kind of started doing was just adventuring into public haunted locations during the day, because most public locations you can't do at night. So it's like you're really discovering all this stuff all on the fly. So since then, since coming up with the book and all of that, how did your own investigative experience shape the content in the book?
A great deal, actually, because we've over the years we developed specific techniques and methodologies, and we're if you think about, and a good basis for the book was we've been very successful in a lot of the techniques that we've developed. And if you can imagine how many teams are out there, I mean, they range in the tens of thousands.
Mm-hmm.
What we're trying to do is cut out that middleman, right? Why reinvent the wheel if we're having success with certain techniques? Here they are. Have at them, and they should work for you as they've worked for us. And that cuts out a lot of effort, a lot of time. If you're new into the field and you're going out there to do this work, well, here's a shortcut instead of trial and error, because access to a place is difficult. So if you're doing trial and error, it could take years to finally get to where we are.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just giving you that shortcut, and we're hoping that you find that success as well.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that you started the group in 1979. Right. How difficult was that back then compared to today?
It was a double-edged sword. On one side, there was a lot of people that appreciated what I was doing, and on the other side was I'm going to call them the laughing skeptic. So I had to deal with both parties, and I come from a security law enforcement background. I've done 37 years of it. So as time rolled in, I became the guy. So if I work within government institutions, large corporations, and these places have problems as well.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't like to talk about it. So I became the guy because I could keep a secret. I could keep what was going on quiet, so that I was brought into places that nobody else would even know about to have a look. And usually they just wanted to know, is there a problem? Is there a reason to be worried? Can you talk to our security staff because they're afraid to come to work? And you're trying to alleviate those situations, mitigate that problem for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I became known in that field, and so we get invited to places that nobody else does. So, and that, that was a big part when we did the book on the Canadian National Exhibition. It started off with a small conversation. They said noticing some ghostly activity, very similar to what was in my second book, which I call The Party, where there's clinking of glasses and laughter and music and loud conversation. And I've noticed this a few places, and they've noticed it in their building, or one of their buildings. And they said, "Do you want to have a look?" I didn't know at that moment that when they said, "Do you want to have a look?" that I was being brought in to investigate all their buildings and property.
Okay.
Coming out of look.
Nice.
And then I did go and have a look, and they said, "Well, this is really interesting. I'd like to do a bigger investigation." And the curator looked at me and said, "Well, I thought you were." So it's like, okay. And that turned into I think it was 13 months down there. And we saw just about every inch of the place.
Wow.
2 buildings we couldn't get into because they were privately leased. But that was a huge job.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So, in your guys' opinion, what separates a credible paranormal investigation from one that isn't?
Well, it's the integrity, right? It's just, doing the right thing, whether somebody's watching or not. And being able to say you were wrong. I mean, I can't count how many times I've been wrong.
Right.
You make your best guess, and 6 months into the investigation, you go, "Wow, that was dumb." But you learn from those errors, and that's, and because you learn from them, then you can take the proper path and maybe come to some, better conclusions and something that makes sense. But we're all going to be making mistakes, and if you're not making mistakes, well, then you're fudging it.
Right. Yeah.
That's a good way of putting it.
And that's how you learn.
Yeah.
That's how we learned. I mean, stuff's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much, I'm sort of like the Wile E. Coyote, right? I get this crazy idea about a theory, and I used to have a good buddy. He had access to electronics lab, and we say, "Hey, I got this theory, and I need this piece of equipment. It doesn't exist," and he'd build it for me. All right?
Wow.
It would cost, and then it didn't work. So, education's expensive, right?
Yeah.
You try it,
Mm-hmm.
but that's how we learn. We try stuff, and it either does good or it does bad. So,
Right. And Peter?
Yep. Oh, I'll ride Richard's coattails on this one. As far as the integrity goes, well, right now I'm thinking of a local group in our town. We have on Facebook. There's a local. It's called Tell and Sell, and people can usually sell stuff in town. Used items, etc. But once in a while, you'll have announcements by people who live in town sharing a project that they're working on. And recently, there was a post for a local place that used to house Armenian boys in the early 20th century, and after the Armenian genocide. And I remember trying to get into that place myself to do an investigation, and was sort of put off. This is years ago, and all of a sudden this post comes up saying, "Hey, I want your stories. Our group is going in there for a television show," kind of thing. And I thought, oh my gosh, like if anyone could please stop and look at our manual first. There's that person, because my point is, a professional wouldn't advertise what they're doing ahead of time. They wouldn't say, "Hey, we're going into this place," and tell the world. Even if you were looking for stories, don't tell them don't tell the public that it's for a paranormal investigation. Just ask for stories. But they just had to splash their, I don't want to say their ego or their whatever, their name out there as a paranormal group. Hey, look, this is what we're doing, and that's something we will not do. We'll never do that. Everything's by the book, as I've learned through working with Richard and the Searcher group. Safety and confidentiality are number one. If two things can be number one, they are. And there's, it's all in the book. It's, there's a method to doing this confidentially, respectfully, and safely for clients and the team. So I think that's a long answer to your question about, sort of what differentiates maybe between, professionals or people trying to do as professional a job as they can and a thrill-seeking group.
Right. Well, and I'm glad you guys bring up both, admitting your mistake, but also working smart and safe. Because when we first started doing investigations, we were actually invited to go do an investigation at a business. Mm-hmm. And we had caught a picture and thought it was something. We thought it looked like almost looked like it kind of like a Grim Reaper type image to us. And so we presented it to the client, just like, here, we caught this. We can't explain what it is, but it very much looks like a skeleton or a Reaper or something. And then years later, my cousin decided to run stuff that we have done in the past through the more updated filters and stuff. He went to school for cinematography, so he's been able to identify a lot of stuff a lot easier. And he texts me and he goes, yeah, that thing that we thought was a Grim Reaper, it was a bush in the office. And of course, we didn't have contact with the client anymore, so we couldn't say, hey, whoops. But we've admitted it on the show multiple times, so if they've seen the show, we're totally sorry that we came up with that.
Mm-hmm. But that's the learning part that Richard.
Right. Yeah.
It's easy to do. It's I remember working. I was working a late night shift. I was working out of a government facility. I was all by myself. I'm sitting there. I've got a wall of monitors, like 65 cameras to watch. It's a blizzard outside. It's like 3 a.m. And all of a sudden I see these 3 things standing outside. They're just shimmering, moving around. And I'm like, what the heck is that? And I'm like, and of course I got to go look.
Right.
So I go out and look. And it was just 3 patio umbrellas that were closed. The snow had built up on them and they were moving in the wind. But on camera, I was like, whoa, what's this thing, man? I'd rather have got them before they got me, right? So,
right.
And I'll admit it. You make mistakes. You see stuff that's like, but that's why we like to, we like to take. If you're taking pictures, take a whole bunch. Right? We come out of places and we've got 400 or 500 photographs to go through, and
nothing on them.
Hours of video.
Yeah.
But we try and shoot the same image over and over.
Yeah.
That way,
yeah.
It may look different in one photo, but then you've got your control photos.
Mm-hmm.
Compare them and say, is it different, or is it the same, or is it, is it the lighting, or is it the
right? Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of work. A lot of people don't realize how much work goes into this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just to analyze audio video, right? When you're running 3 or 4 cameras for 8 hours, it's so a lot of hours to go through. You can't just speed through it and hope, something's going to pop out. No, it's and thank God my brother does most of the analysis, and he does it on a big screen TV with surround sound, and his neighbors hate him because you've got some ghostly stuff happening, and it's like in your face, right?
Right.
But he loves it. He'll call me and say, "Oh my God, I just heard this. You got to come in here." I speed over there and look at it or listen to it. He wants to be that pioneer to hear it first.
Well, he has caught some amazing evidence through the years.
Okay. Now, there's tons of equipment, tools, from simple to advanced. What kind of technology or tools do you guys find truly useful versus it's just a hype thing where people are just trying to sell something to you?
Mm. Go ahead.
We use a wide variety of stuff, right? Going back to Harry Price, right? Baby powder,
Mhm.
motion sensors or tripwires, or right up to
String of bells.
What's that?
A string of bells.
Yeah,
Tape on the door.
yeah, and it's what works for you. I don't have any time for stuff like the obelisk,
Mhm.
things like that. The flashlight trick where you sort of loosen the bulb and you make,
Right.
That's been debunked.
yeah. I just don't have time for that sort of stuff. I like to deal more of the hard science stuff.
Mhm.
You know, Gauss meters are great, but they're usually single axis. I like trimeters where I'm getting readings from the whole area.
Okay.
Right, I like to do comparisons on from a Gauss meter to a trifield meter that's or a natural trifield meter, right? It's subtle energies, and then I'll even compare that to a simple compass, where we've done that in a number of places where the compass is just spinning like a rotor blade.
Oh, wow.
Well, what does it mean?
Right.
Catch stuff.
Right.
It's great to catch this phenomenon, but what does it mean? And this is and then you got to start collecting all the data. Like while that was happening, what else was happening? Was there a temperature change? Was there a sound? Was there any vibrations going on? Was there any EVP happening? Was there, right? So you want to collect as much data and then see what connect the dots, because usually one phenomena doesn't happen at that time. It's usually a whole pile of phenomena, but we're only focused on that one thing that's really cool. You have to have it all to get the big picture, and that'll give you some idea of what the attributes of a ghost are, right? Because they're removed from the physical, but they still have attributes. There's still something about them. And it's got to be complex. So the more complex, the more little tweaks and phenomena is going to occur when they're around. So it's the same as a human. When I'm around, I'm around, right? I'm going to make noise. I'm going to leave a sign somewhere. I'm going to do something.
Right. Okay.
If I could jump on that, as far as the gadgets that are just sort of being sold for big gadgets, I'm going to bring up the portal, or what's called the portal, which is the modified spirit box. They're being sold as a device that it's like a spirit box, but chock full of filters to filter out junk noise, the voices you don't want to hear, kind of thing. And I admit they sound creepy as hell on TV shows and stuff, and they're usually sold in repurposed radio boxes that you can get at the thrift store, and they got the interior out and put the device in it, and it's made out of wood, and they stick little lights around the outside,
right? Yep.
And whatnot. Okay, great for a visual, maybe great for television. Creepy as hell, when the voices come out and going, whoa, stuff like that, and it's left for interpretation. But I do mention this in the book. We have a section on equipment that we would recommend highly, and others to stay away from. And a portal is one of them, precisely for the reason that as investigators, people who depend on them or trust in them, you're putting your trust in that there's a filter in there that's somebody has told you that these filters are getting rid of junk messages. Well, who are they to say what's junk? You could be missing some really interesting data just because somebody's version of junk seems useless to them. So yeah. Anyway, I explained myself better in the book, and I advocate for doing the work. If you're going to have say a spirit box session with an old fashioned spirit box, um, which is our we think is probably the closest thing we have to real time communication for
Hmm.
those of us who aren't psychic,
Right.
and just when you're listening back to those recordings of those sessions, like take the time and don't like dismiss every sound that comes out of the box. There might be not necessarily responses to the investigator's questions 100% of the time, but we'll catch, and I've caught many times, conversations in the background going between people talking about us or referring to us or telling us to shut up and that kind of thing. And a portal, I'm afraid, would probably, you'd lose all that. You'd lose all that data. And again, that's if you're missing it, then you're missing part of the clues that we're looking for when we're doing this work.
Right. Well, and I have used a portal. I've also used just the spirit box, and yeah, the portal is fun just to play with,
Yeah.
but yeah, you're losing that white noise a lot of times, and it is believed that that's what spirits are using is the white noise, not just
Yeah.
pulling something from the broadcasts.
Right.
So,
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a carrier wave.
right, yeah,
So yeah. I find I've seen people use them, and I'm just sort of how much was that? A few $100? I don't know, but anyway, have that, man. Enjoy it. Great conversation piece.
Yeah.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
But
Looks
yeah,
nice on
or-
the shelf. It
What's
does
that?
look nice on the shelf.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, it's creepy. It's yeah.
Now, how do you guys approach cases where there's families or clients that are frightened by the activity?
Carefully.
So, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. No, I was
So,
that was my one line.
yeah, if it's a couple, a single or a couple, then that's completely different than if it's a family unit with children. If they've got children, then you've got to go in with kid gloves on, and no pun intended, but and deal with it smarter and a little softer. You still have to interview the kids, but you want to do it in a way that it's not going to frighten them. So it's just having a conversation, because you have to know if they're being witness to phenomena, or they're being attacked, or if they're being bothered, or maybe the entity's friendly with them, and maybe not friendly with the parents or the dog. So you do have to interview all of them, and then you have to determine what's going on in their point of view. And it doesn't mean it's a paranormal situation.
Right.
You need to get in there and really find out if there's something naturally occurring that's causing this phenomenon.
Right.
Whether it's poor wiring, or there's a slight gas leak in the furnace, or infrasound, or you have to take out all these different phenomena, right? Do they have rodents or raccoons, or they? So once you, it's like a home inspection actually, and you need to go in and find out what's happening and what's not happening, and you have to go through a gigantic checklist and say, okay, this is, there's no gas leak, there's no mold, there's no infrasound, there's no, the wiring's great, there's no rodents or raccoons, there's nothing in the attic. Once you start removing the natural causes, what you're left with could possibly be paranormal, and that's when you start your paranormal investigation. Normally, we simply start with the EVP collection, trying to communicate with them, and then we'll escalate it from there. If depending on the results. What are we getting? Is there any activity at all? Are we witnessing anything as well? Can we verify what the people are telling us? And if so, then we bring in audio video surveillance. That's our workhorse. That's plain and simple. That's the workhorse for the company.
Mm-hmm.
We like to move the family out of the area. Go to a restaurant or go visit your family or friends somewhere, and we'll saturate the building with audio video surveillance. We'll go in and talk about them, maybe even skeptically about them. Like I don't really believe they exist. I don't know. I think it's nonsense. And get them riled up.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll go to a coffee shop for half an hour or so and leave the building completely empty. We'll lock it up and it's empty. And the audio video's working while we're gone. And 9 out of 10 times we'll get a conversation going on about us in an empty house.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's really our workhorse. We've been using it for decades, and it's very successful.
Mm-hmm.
And the intelligence you gain from that is because they're very social, and they'll talk, and they'll use each other's names like we do.
Mm-hmm.
And now you take it home and you review it, and you go, "Oh, Jeff's there, and I don't know who this Rebecca is," and now you've got names, so that's twofold. You can go back and talk to them using their names, and they're like, "Whoa!"
Right.
The thing is, you've got names now to go into the history of the place and see if these people ever existed on that property. So that intelligence becomes very valuable, and that's how we work.
Okay. Now, I'm sure I probably know the answer to this, but you brought up debunking. Have you ever had to debunk an entire case where someone is swearing that it's paranormal activity, they won't let up? And how did you guys handle that when something like that happens?
I don't think in the history I've been with the group, I don't think I've been around for a complete debunking at all. I've been very successful.
Yeah, the only place we debunked, and it wasn't a home, it was a road. It was called Ghost Road.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the old legend was if you sat on this road in the middle of the night, you looked down this road, you would see all of a sudden a headlight come out of nowhere, and it was, the guy that died on his motorcycle coming up the road. Right? And that was the legend.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went down there and we set up, pitch black, creepy area. And we saw the headlight, came out of nowhere. Just all of a sudden it was there, and then it went away. And I'll admit, it looked pretty creepy. If it wasn't me, I'd be absolutely convinced this motorcycle guy is coming down the road. But it didn't sit well. And so some of the team members took their car. We had a couple cars, and they drove way down the end. And there was a crossroad at the end of this ghost road. And what was happening was cars would come up this road, and there was a posted sign. It was 60 kilometers an hour facing that crossroad, but it was loose. The bolts were halfway out, and it would shimmer in the wind, and it would pick up the headlights coming up along the crossroad and fire that light down Ghost Road. And it was like, whoa, there's a light, and then it'd be gone. Yeah, because the car passed by. So they had radios, we had radios, and they said, oh, wait, do you see the motorcycle guy? And they're flashing their high beams on the crossroad at this sign, and we were like, yeah. And then they turned the light off. They said, did it go away? Yep. So we sort of debunked that. But the funny thing was, one of the guys in the car, he had his music on the car radio. And something unseen came by and pounded on the car because I guess they didn't like the music player right there.
Oh,
so it's haunted, but not by the motorcycle guy.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's fun.
Yeah, didn't you discover that there was an indigenous pathway
Yeah,
through that
used to be
area?
yeah, it used to be an indigenous uh,
Like
way
a
they used
cross?
to
Yeah,
cross
Okay.
this area,
yeah.
and it quite have possibly been, and that's one of the mediums felt that it was indigenous, and they just didn't appreciate the noise.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I agreed. Should have been a little more, but, the guy was young, and what are you gonna do?
All right. Well, playing off of that question, have you ever faced a situation during an investigation that made you consider abandoning the case?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Richard's fifth book, Meeting Place of the Dead, documents that
Okay.
quite well, and that was a case that I was a part of. I wasn't for the ghost. I wasn't there for the Ghost Road debunking, but it's hard to summarize it. But it basically took place just outside of the town I live in, so it's very close to home. And Richard and I were invited to this place after a presentation at a historical society, and this woman brought us a photo of uh, uh, a small cottage-like establishment on a rural property with a barn out back. And this photo was taken by the Google streetcar. And she said, "What do you think of this?" And standing in front of this house was a woman in period clothing with no face, looking at the camera. So she said, "What?" She said, "There was nobody living there at the time. So are you interested?" So we said, "Of course." Um, anyway, long story short, we investigated this place for about a year and a half, Richard,
Yeah.
roughly, and it was like Grand Central Station. As far as we could not get a bead on an era, we would run into different kinds of entities almost every other visit, and then they started getting nasty. Each member of the group was visited at their home, and we all lived in different
Wow.
localities. I think there were five of us, 5 or 6 of us, and each of us or their spouses or kids had a visitation. And then on the site itself, Richard and I were kicked. Paul kept on. Paul, the surveillance analyst, he would suddenly have vertigo and tumble downstairs, just out of the blue. We had a medium that was choked one evening. We just come back from one of those breaks after leaving the security or the surveillance cameras going, and we'd just come back from dinner, and the medium was choked from behind, brought to tears. And anyway, to round things up, Richard had to, he's seen similar kinds of malevolent stuff before in the past, and so we just had to go to the client and say, we're going to have to call it quits, because if we push too far, somebody's really going to get hurt, and we
Right.
had no idea how far it could go. So yeah, that's one experience that I've had with the group anyway, as far as having to call it quits
Wow.
for safety reasons.
Boy, my favorite one, absolute favorite, was I was working on a book for at an old mansion, and they had an old farmhouse across the street. And they were connected in history, but through the spirits as well. They were both connected. They had some. So we would take turns looking either at the mansion or this old farmhouse. And this particular night, I just couldn't get the team together, so I brought one person, and then a guy I know. He dabbles in film. He likes to do film directing and stuff. Yeah, he said, "What are you working on?" I told him. He said, "Can I come out?" I said, "Sure." So it was just the three of us. So we went in. It was a hard location to work. I think they had 2 plug outlets that worked in the entire house.
Wow.
So I was using one for surveillance equipment and stuff like that. So we took a break. It was probably, I don't know, 11, maybe 11:30 at night. And it's a big home and or farmhouse, and it's all boarded up. It's been boarded up for more than a decade. And so we went outside for a break. We're standing on a front lawn, It's dark. There's nobody around. It's quiet. All of a sudden, I hear this knocking on one of the plywood over the windows inside the house. And we're probably about 20 feet back from the house, and just having a drink. And at the other end of the house, we start hearing banging from inside the house. And then upstairs, banging. The next thing you know, it's like there's 20 people in there all pounding on the inside of the plywood and the doors, and it's getting louder and louder and louder. All of a sudden, there's this woman scream from inside the house, and everything goes dead quiet. And the funny thing is the director guy looks at me and he goes, "Is that normal?" I said, "Yeah, all haunted houses do that." But in my head, I'm calculating the value of the equipment that's in the house because I'm not going in there to get it.
Yeah.
So we called it a night, got in the cars, left the equipment and everything, and just went home. That was, my gut said, this is not the time to go back in. So, yeah. But that was one of my, wasn't the greatest moment, but it was, the equipment, I can get more equipment.
Yeah, well, at least you were around to tell that story.
Right.
Yeah.
Who knows what would have happened if you did
I
go in.
did go back. I did retrieve that equipment. I did finish that investigation, but not on that particular night. But
I'll tell all the listeners, trust your gut because obviously it pays off.
Yeah, go with your gut because
you
know what? There's been a lot of times I didn't, and you regret those moments.
Yeah.
But on the other end, I've had a family call me and they said, "Oh, we're having all this terrible ghostly phenomena. We're scared," and they mentioned the demon word, and I'm like, "Is it okay?" Right. So, and people tend to forget you're an investigator, and they're calling you into their house, and you're going to look around. You're going to investigate.
Right.
And the first thing I noticed when I came in, I'm interviewing them, and I'm looking around, and I asked them. I said, "So do you guys normally have an interest in the paranormal?" "No." "You watch shows on it or anything, or do you get any ideas about this?" No. Well, hold on a minute. You have an entire bookshelf here on paranormal and witchcraft and spell casting. You have a Ouija board here. I thought you had no interest. Oh yeah. Well, that's, yeah. At that point, I'm not really interested because if you're going to be lying about it,
right.
How are we going to get to the truth, right?
Right.
So I just say, you know what? I think there's probably another team that can help you, but I don't think I can.
Right.
And then you're out. Right? So, nice mug.
You? This or this?
Excuse me.
Now, what lessons or skills do you hope new investigators take away from this book?
Well, I'm hoping that they'll recognize the advice or the techniques that are shared in this book and look at them and give them a try. As I said, as I tried to say, up their game and sort of meet us at the same level of accomplishment and using these techniques. Really, it's we're hoping to put a positive spin on this manual. It's to bring up the game universally, I guess, nationally, and start a conversation between teams instead of competition between teams and getting likes on YouTube and whatnot, and trying to get a television show of their own. Use these techniques that are in the book, and let's compare notes and try each other's experiments and say what works and what doesn't work. And if you have theories of your own that you want to share, we want to hear them. Likewise, if you don't agree with some of the theories that Richard and the Searcher Group think tank have come up with, tell us why. Like what doesn't work for you, and let's have a talk about it. So hopefully the manual will will be an invitation for that kind of conversation to get started.
Okay.
Yeah, just be, and when you're dealing with the client or whoever's you're working with, whether it's working with anybody or you might just have access to a property, be respectful, be pleasant about it, be professional, and always be honest. People shake their head. As an author, authors are usually protective and secretive, and they don't want to tell you anything till the book's out. Then the book's out, and they go, "Okay, I can talk about it."
Right.
Okay.
I will write the entire manuscript, and I've been, other authors just shake their head at me. I'll take that manuscript back to the client and say, "Here it is. Have a read of it before it even goes to the publisher," because I want to make sure I'm not saying something that's going to startle them or embarrass them or give away the Cadbury secret.
Right.
I want to make sure they're comfortable, and then if they say, "Yeah, that's great," off to the publisher it goes. And why not? It's an honest way to do things, right? I don't want to feel like I'm pulling some wool over the client's eyes and doing something behind their back, because that's not what this is about.
Right.
It's above board and honest and transparent. This is what happened, and here it is, right? And it's all about you or your house or your family or whatever it is. So you need to be comfortable with it, and that's how you build relationships, and that's how you build trust within a community. Right? Because that word gets around quick.
Right.
Not as quick as if you do something wrong.
Well, right.
Right? So if you do something wrong, own it. Right?
Right.
How can I fix this? Make sure you fix it, because it's really about building those relationships, and those relationships build trust, and that will get you in the door faster than anything else. So,
yeah, thanks to the reputation that Richard has built over the years through a lot of hard work and reputable work, we've been fortunate to just been handed the key to a couple of places. When I began the what I call the town hall tour in 2015, 2016, I approached a local town hall caretaker, and he said, "Here's the key, have at it," kind of thing. And he didn't even want to be there for the investigation. That's that kind of trust and reputation that Richard's put a lot of hard work into establishing.
Right.
and then it's and you know how to read people, right? Are they nervous about something? What are they nervous about? Find out, ask them, and then try and mitigate it and alleviate those problems. And once they've got your trust, even funny stuff comes out of that. I did a huge job for one of our municipalities down here. The city, it's a large city. It's Mississauga. We were cataloging historically owned properties that the city owned. It was a huge job. Took 10 months. We got to be known, and so there's this one mansion out on the lake. It's they use it as a music conservatory right now, and it's quiet. It's after hours. It's locked up. So I was waiting for corporate security to come by and unlock the door so we could go in and look. We're just sitting there. The next neighbor is probably half a mile away from here. And this cop car comes in and parks right behind us, and he's walking at us, and he's like, "What are these guys? There's a whole bunch of guys in this car. It's late at night. What are they doing back here?" So I said, "Okay, So I jumped out of the car and I walked over, and he's like nervous. He's looking at me like, "What's this guy doing?" So I came over and I pulled out my card, and I said, "Hey, you probably wonder what we're doing here." Gave him the card. Paranormal investigator. We're going into that. It's called the Adamson's estate. I said, "Going into the estate there. I'm just waiting for the security guy." Okay. He just turned around and left. I don't have nothing to do with this.
It's not in my job description.
Yeah, that's beyond my pay grade, man.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys believe that paranormal investigation is more science, more of an art, or kind of a combination?
I would say a combination. I mean,
Yeah,
it's maybe not art, but definitely an emotional human component to it. You're talking to before we went on air, Justin. We were talking a little bit about our consideration for people outside of the physical still being people. I'll refer to them as spirit people, and because that's there hasn't been a change there in that respect. They're just outside the physical, just in a different form. So. But the science, that's what we have to sort of log our experiences using instruments that are developed by those of us on the physical to try to log and say for certain that there's a change in the environment. So I would say it's a combination of both. It's the connecting through emotion and respect and that kind of thing, and as well as bringing back proof using the gadgets and instruments that we have in the physical.
Yeah, it's both. And you can sometimes you can get out of balance with it. You're trying to do too much of the science thing, and
right,
you forget about the human end of it.
Yeah.
Or you can go the other direction and try and saturate it with psychics. You're not using enough science.
Right.
You got to find that balance. And, you're not always successful in the balance, but you try as hard as you can. Mediums are great, but mediums get upset with me. And we've used mediums throughout our history, and they get upset with me because I just call them another tool in the box. Because they're another tool that I hate to say use, but or deploy,
utilize
to gain information. And what I do love is when a medium is sitting there channeling information, and we're running EVP side by side, and I'm hearing her giving me answers to her questions or my questions. And then when we play that EVP back, I'm hearing her asking that question, giving the reply, and on top of her reply is another voice in the background giving the same reply.
That's crazy.
And that to me is, that's fantastic evidence.
Right. Confirmation. Yeah.
Although it's not considered evidence. If you take that to a scientist, they're like, you're
right.
Yeah. I seem to recall another instance along those lines, Richard, where you were working with a male medium, and he was saying a different date than the voice was insisting. No, it's this.
Yeah. There was a bit of an argument going on. He wasn't getting it.
Yeah.
So
that's fascinating.
How many cups you got going on there?
I got to stay hydrated, man.
Well, there you go. Yeah, compensate for the other one. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Now, what do you guys think the future of paranormal research is going to look like?
A lot better after they read this manual.
Well said.
High five.
Well said.
Yeah,
that's a tough one, man, because sometimes I get depressed thinking about that. With the new technologies coming out, and usually new technology means, hey, this is going to work out. It's actually putting us behind the 8 ball, right? With AI and voiceovers and all the junk they're coming out with now, with being able to create your own photographs and your own audio and video, and it's hard. It's getting harder to determine what's real and what's not real.
Oh, for sure.
And that's going to make it even harder for the investigator of the future. They're just going to like, how are you going to believe anybody about anything?
Right.
It's just,
true enough.
the technology. I love the older technology, and it worked better. It actually worked better. I've run EVP tests with old analog tape recorders right beside a digital recorder, and I get more on the analog. So,
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. Yeah.
yeah. So, just the new technology and people, and that's the thing I don't like is a lot of investigators, instead of buying an actual camera, they take their phone.
Right.
And a phone camera is not a true camera. It doesn't capture the actual true colors that you're seeing. So
Right.
it's altering, and there's so many layers of filters. You're not really catching what you think you're catching, and it can lead to misidentification of things. It's not truly what you saw. Make the investment. I mean, really, how expensive is a digital camera now?
Right.
Just buy one and take it on the job site.
Yeah.
But in a pinch, yeah, you see something, okay, and you don't have your camera, use your phone.
Right. Right.
Just to record the situation, but you should be using the real equipment to do this.
Yeah.
Forget about all these apps on your phone.
Right.
Oh my god.
Yeah, because there's
Really
plenty of them out there.
If you're going to do it,
Do it right.
unless it's a fly-by-night hobby, it's just an interest you want to just do. That's fine.
Right.
If you think you're out there trying to capture real evidence and you're really trying to do something important, do it right. Otherwise, what's the point?
Right.
So,
Right.
All right. We are running out of time, so I wanted to give both of you a chance to tell everybody where they can find you guys, find your work. The mic's all yours.
Okay. Here in Canada and around the world, we can be found at thesearchergroup.ca. That's the address of our website. You'll find bios and book covers and many articles on a lot of the work that Richard and the group have done over the years. What else can we add to that, Richard? Our books, I guess.
yeah, if you want to contact me directly, I'm at the Searcher Group. It's Richard at thesearchergroup.ca. Or you can look me up on Facebook. Sometimes I'll post stuff there. Our publisher for this book, Llewellyn Worldwide, is gracious enough to have a paranormal journal online. Invited us to do some articles, which we have. So you can always go there and look us up as well.
And all of our books are available through Amazon, Chapters. Any good bookstore should have our books available.
Yeah. Okay.
24/7, 7 days a week.
Awesome. All right. Well, Peter, Richard, thank you guys for being on ParaTruth Reborn.
Well, thanks for having us on.
Thanks, Justin. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, folks. I hope you enjoyed that episode with Richard and Peter. Definitely make sure you check out the book, The Complete Paranormal Investigation Handbook. It's definitely a great read for those that are either wanting to get into paranormal investigation or who have been doing it and need some ideas to up their game, as Peter had said. So if you have any questions or whatever for them, definitely reach out to them. We got a lot of great stuff coming up for you guys, so I appreciate that you guys are still listening to us each and every week. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, no matter wherever you listen or watch. And again, this has been a pre-recorded show on 107.7 FM New Orleans, 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast, and United Public Radio Network. Make sure you check out all the great shows that we have on the network, because there's so many great ones on there. But until next week, where you'll find us same time, same channel. My name is Justin. Talk to you guys later.